5 days, no oxygen, no shelter. And still, she whispered, "Don't leave me." At 8,500 meters, where the air itself tries to kill you, Francys Arsentiev stayed alive when no one should have. Beside her was her husband Sergei, who turned back up the mountain when everyone else was going down. Why did she last that long? Why did he go back, knowing he wouldn't return? In the next few minutes, you'll understand the choices no one can judge from sea level, choices made when love outlasts reason, and the mountain takes what it wants. Stay until the end, because what happened up there will stay with you forever. Before Everest, there was love. Before tragedy, there was a dream shared by two people who believed they could defy the limits of the human body. Francys Arsentiev wasn't just another climber chasing a photo on the summit. She was determined, disciplined, and deeply in love with the feeling of standing where few ever have. A quiet woman, an American mother with a son waiting at home, but up in the mountains, she felt alive. And then there was Sergei Arsentiev, a Russian mountaineer, one of the strongest of his generation. He had seen avalanches, frostbite, and death, but he had also seen the beauty that keeps climbers coming back. Where others found fear, Sergei found focus. When they met on an expedition to Cho Oyu, something clicked. Different languages, same obsession. They understood each other without words. A rare kind of connection forged by thin air and danger. Together, they made a vow to climb not for fame, not for sponsors, but for something personal, to prove that love and courage could reach the highest point on Earth. And one day they began planning their greatest climb. Everest, without oxygen. It would be her dream, his support, and their ultimate test. They prepared every detail: routes, weather windows, gear, even a small cache of supplies waiting high above, meant to save their lives on the way down. A cache that would later decide everything. Climbers talk about Everest as if it's a mountain made of ice and storms. But the real enemy isn't the cold. It's the air. At sea level, your lungs fill with oxygen. At 8,000 meters, each breath gives you only a third of that. The body begins to die the moment you arrive. That's why acclimatization exists. Climbing high, descending, and repeating, forcing your body to adapt to the impossible. Skip this process and your brain starts to swell, your lungs fill with fluid, and confusion sets in. You make mistakes that feel logical, right up until they kill you. Francys and Sergei knew this. They had trained for it. But Everest doesn't care how experienced you are. It punishes even the smallest rush. Every extra night high on the slopes drains your strength like a leaking battery. And the higher you go, the less you recover. Up there, even lying still can kill you. In May of 1998, the weather finally gave them a chance. Climbers call it the window, a few calm days between storms when Everest allows passage. Miss it, and you wait another year. They packed light. No bottled oxygen, no backup plan. Every step would rely on their own lungs, their own strength. At 1 in the morning, they left their tent to begin the summit push. The world was completely dark, just the glow of headlamps and the whisper of wind. But then, the light began to die. The cold drained their batteries in seconds. First one lamp failed, then another. Soon they were climbing blind, just shadow, ice, and silence. At that altitude, one misstep means falling forever. So Sergei made the call no climber ever wants to make. They turned back. A smart decision, but a deadly one too. Because now, they had spent a full night in the death zone, without oxygen. and tomorrow they would spend another. Each hour up there changes the brain in ways no one can see. You just don't notice until it's too late. By the third night, the mountain had already begun taking its toll. No one survives long in the death zone, and they had been there for days. A friend, Anatoly Moshnikov, radioed from a nearby camp. He had seen their exhaustion, heard the slowness in Sergei's voice. He begged them to go down. "Tomorrow we descend together. It's too much." From sea level, that advice sounds obvious. You want to shout, "Turn back!" But up there, that word stops meaning the same thing. When you've come this far, when your body has been stripped of reason and your dream is only a few hundred meters above, down feels harder than up. To descend is to admit defeat, and defeat is the one thing climbers fear more than death. So they stayed. Another night, another breath in the air that was slowly killing them. They didn't know it yet, but every minute they spent on that ridge was already writing the ending of their story. May 22nd. Sergei and Francys made their final push. The wind had eased. The sky was clear. The window was open. Step by step they climbed through the thin light of morning. Their bodies moved slowly, as if through water. Every motion, every breath was a fight. Hours passed. Then more. And as the sun began to fall behind the horizon, they finally reached the top of the world. 8,848 meters. Everest. Francys became the first American woman to summit without oxygen, a record no one had ever achieved. For a few fleeting moments, they must have felt invincible. They had done the impossible. But on Everest, reaching the summit is only halfway. And they were too late. Too late. The sun was already gone. The sky darkened into an endless blue-black void. They had no tents waiting below, no oxygen. And the descent, the deadliest part of any climb, was still ahead. The music of triumph faded. Only the sound of wind and boots crunching on ice remained. Their euphoria vanished. The mountain had just changed the rules. They moved through the dark, searching for the cache they had left behind, their lifeline. A tent, oxygen, warm clothes, the supplies that were supposed to keep them alive until morning. Sergei remembered exactly where it was. He had pictured it in his mind during every step of the climb. But when they reached the spot, nothing. No tent, no oxygen. Only a half-buried backpack, a flask, a broken light. The cache that was meant to save them didn't exist. At that altitude, there is no such thing as backup. There is no next move. There is only survival, or the slow slide into death. This was the exact moment the story split into two. One path led down the mountain, the other into legend, and they didn't know which one they were already on. The night came fast. The wind picked up again, slicing through their clothing like blades. The temperature dropped below -30. They tried to keep moving, but their bodies were gone. 5 nights in the death zone without oxygen. The limits of human endurance had already been shattered. And somewhere on that descent, in the freezing dark, they lost each other. Maybe she stopped to rest. Maybe he didn't see. Maybe he thought she was behind him, and she thought the same. At 8,500 meters, a few steps of distance is all it takes to vanish forever. Other climbers spotted them separately. Francys, standing still, dazed, barely moving. Sergei, still pushing downward, searching for the tents below. They tried to help her, gave her oxygen, tried to make her drink, but she tore the mask off again and again, her frozen hands pulling it away. It looked irrational, desperate, but it wasn't madness, not really. It was survival, or what her... When oxygen levels drop too low, the brain reverses its instincts. The mask feels suffocating. The one thing keeping you alive suddenly feels like it's killing you. And so, you fight it. You fight the very thing you need to live. By now, Francys could barely stand. Her eyes were open, but unfocused. Her body was still alive, but her mind was already fading. The mountain had taken control, and it never gives back what it takes. The next morning, a South African team climbs toward the summit. The air is clear, the sky an impossible blue. And then, they see her. A woman tied to a rope, sitting in the snow. Her head tilted, her hands bare. Her skin white as porcelain. It's Francys. Somehow she's still alive. Her lips move. A whisper, "Don't leave me." Her hands are waxy, her legs no longer work. Her breath, shallow. At 8,500 meters, that means there's nothing left to do. No rescue, no recovery. Just choices. At this height, carrying another person is a death sentence. For both. You can drag someone a few meters, maybe 100, then your own heart gives out. They give her oxygen. They try to make her drink warm tea. She doesn't swallow. Her reflexes are gone. The tea freezes on her jacket before it hits the ground. The climbers stand there, helpless, knowing what that silence means. On Everest, compassion has limits set by physics, not morality. And those limits were reached long ago. Hours later, another light appears on the slope. Not coming down, going up. It is Sergei Arsentiev. No one knows how he is still moving. He has already spent 4 nights in the death zone, summited without oxygen, descended, and survived another freezing night. But now he is climbing again. A tank of oxygen on his back. For her. No one speaks of heroics. No one needs to. Some acts explain themselves. He passes a descending climber who tells him that she is alive. Sergei nods once and keeps going. That is the last time anyone sees him. A single headlamp, swallowed by the darkness. A promise kept, and a life given to keep it. People still ask, why did she keep removing the mask? It looked irrational. A woman rejecting the one thing that could save her. But it was not madness. It was biology. When oxygen runs low, carbon dioxide builds up. The brain panics. It screams that you are suffocating, even when you are not. The mask feels like it is stealing air, not giving it. Add frost-numb hands, a broken seal, and equipment that did not fit her face. And her mind did what it thought it had to do. It fought for breath. It was not irrational. It was the body trying and failing to save itself. Days later, she is still there. Still tied to the rope. Still sitting beneath the rock, frozen in time. Other climbers pass and look away. Some whisper prayers. Some take photos. Everyone remembers her face. Years pass before a team returns. Not to climb, but to keep a promise. They find her exactly as she was left. Unchanged, silent, waiting. They move her gently off the main route, away from the path of new climbers. They cover her with an American flag, and they leave a note. Francys Arsentiev, beloved wife, the first woman to climb without oxygen. Rest in peace. A little lower, they find another body. Sergei. Face down in the snow. He had been climbing back toward her. 2 lives, 2 choices. 1 love that didn't turn back. From sea level, it's easy to ask, why didn't they stop? Why didn't anyone save them? But Everest doesn't follow the logic of low places. Up there, survival is measured in heartbeats, not morals. In seconds, not courage. They weren't reckless. They were human. Competent, experienced, and in love. Caught between thin air and thinner chances. You don't conquer Everest. You negotiate with it, on terms you don't control. And sometimes the price is everything you have left. Now you know why she lasted, and why he went back. Their story isn't about death. It's about love that climbed higher than fear, and a promise kept where the air runs out. If you want careful stories told with respect for the people who lived them, subscribe. We'll keep earning your time.